we were just talking about Mayor Forstater, who's one of the main gender criticals. Obviously, J.K. Rowling is one, but also Kelly J. Keane Minshaw, or Posey Parker. I think she's less relevant now than she used to be, but she used to be like... For a while, she was like their Trump, where she said things that some of them weren't so keen to have said out loud, but they couldn't ever disavow her because they all agreed with her. But for a while, she was like one of the most relevant gender critical people. I think her little tour of New Zealand really just ruined her reputation. But anyway, she has declared victory and has pivoted. So she said, "You'll notice we've included a commitment to highlight the dangers of illegal immigration for women and girls in our new manifesto." So this is Party of Women, which at one point had one councillor and then they left to join Reform. This is her party. At the bottom, she signs it her name. Like, this is her thing. So they're talking about migration and the safety of women and girls. Migration policy must be shaped by truth, transparency, and responsibility. We will ensure that all decisions around immigration and asylum take into account the impact on women's safety, particularly in housing, and the practice of housing single men with women. Like, require full sex disaggregated data on migrants. When large numbers of illegal migrants are settled in towns without proper planning, oversight, or vetting, the safety of local women and girls can be seriously compromised. Women often report feeling less safe walking alone. Like, this is the standard right-wing, like, Republican style, illegal immigrants. If you're American, you might be like, oh yeah, we've heard all this before. It's not really a thing. Like, I know that every single politician in America has, like, the word illegals on, like, the speed dial. Like, they just say illegals all the time. It's not really... People here talk about small boat crossings and asylum seekers who they think shouldn't be here and stuff like that. They don't really talk about illegal migrants. It's not really a thing. I mean, I guess because we're an island, but, like, people do turn up here and, like, overstay their visa or whatever, and you could technically say they're here illegally, but, like, it's not really... I don't know. I feel like this is trying to invoke American culture wars. Anyway, this is, like, it's her new thing. Women must be permitted to talk about this without fear of being accused racist or bigoted. Like, this is the same playbook. This is exactly what she did about trans people. Women must be permitted to talk about this without fear of being accused to be transphobic. Like, cut and paste, same stuff. Now talking about immigrants that allow unvetted men. Just the way in which they talk about immigrants is the way they talk about trans people. This isn't like a shock. This isn't a surprise. She's not the only one. So here we have Jess Gill, a gender critical, saying, "We've won the battle against trans ideology." So they're declaring victory, which could be a good thing if, from trans people's point of view, if they get obsessed with something else, at least they won't be obsessed with us anymore. It doesn't affect their lives. Hopefully they'll leave us alone. But it's obviously bad that these people are just, like, horrible people in general, and they just always have to be attacking someone. They have to be putting people in their place. They have to be, like, enforcing hierarchies and binaries. That's like what they exist to do. So she's saying, now it is essential that gender critical community speaks up about the dangers of mass immigration. Women and girls are being raped and harassed across the country. If you truly care about women's safety, you need to speak out against this. And then they've got, like, secure our borders, put our women first. God, that phrase always makes me feel ill. 1 in 4 sex crimes are committed by foreign nationals. It's just the standard, like, fear-mongering about immigrants. But, like, what betrays this as not just people with concerns is when they say things like, when will our women come first? Which ones are our women? Like, are these my women because I am British and they think I'm a man? No. No one's, like, who's are? Like, are they, am I their women? Like, women don't belong to people. This, like, our women thing is bullshit. Why should if you think that immigrant men are a danger to women, what about immigrant women? Do you not also care about them? Doesn't seem to be a thing that you care about at all. Why are you saying our women? You could say, when will women come first? That's a fine thing to say, and it's a feminist thing that people say, and it isn't necessarily anti-immigrant, isn't necessarily anti-trans, because trans people say that, and migrants who are feminists will also say that. But when you say, when will our women come first, suddenly it sounds really cringe at best, and a bit red flag as to what your motivations are. I don't think this will be the last of the gender critical movement pivoting. They obviously want to keep the energy that they have and momentum and pick on their next target. So I do think that it's kind of relevant to this so there's these two really good articles. I'll put them in the description. One is writing about the UK court ruling from a Irish perspective, and one is writing about it from the New Zealand perspective. And Ireland and New Zealand both have historic relationships with England and the UK. We done a bit of colonization, and both, I didn't really think about it from this angle from before, but both of these articles, the authors have separately pointed out that one of the reasons that transphobia is so prevalent in the UK when it isn't in even other English-speaking countries, and the way in which it's even worse than in the US, where they have Hitler Part 2 in power. Here it is crazy how from right to left everyone is just anti-trans, or the political parties in the media, at least. The people in power are anti-trans. The people on the streets aren't. But they point out that it's an action of colonialism to always have to maintain binaries in everything across the board. You always have to have these are people, and that's their people. We are the colonizers, they are the colonized. That means we can commit horrific human rights abuses to them, and you don't need to worry about us committing them to you because you're of a different class. And the fact that they can move you from one class to the other or whatever, you're just not allowed to think about that. But certainly the way that the English treated the Irish for hundreds of years, absolutely horrific, but importantly, dehumanized and othered them. These are different people. They're heathens or savages or whatever, and it's not there's this sliding scale of how civilized a person is. It's literally we are civilized, they are not, and you have to constantly maintain this binary. And they say in this article is actually really good. It's pointing out how the Supreme Court ruling is in direct conflict with European data protection laws. But they're also pointing out how enforcing these binaries is a very British thing to do. And they're saying that how for a time the idea that someone could be both Irish and English at the same time was a huge point of argument, because how could you be both? Because you're either one or the other. You're either oppressed or you're the oppressor. And that is how the gender criticals view sex and gender. And it's not Britain today is the same as it was in its colonial era, but it's not these attitudes and way in which our society is built and stuff just disappear. People still have the British Empire in mind quite a lot. I do think it contributed towards Brexit. And it's shaped our institutions. Our legal system is 1,000 years old, so it's gonna result in loads of forced classifications. It's when they split up Africa and they just drew borders on the map with a ruler, and they just cut through communities and banged two ethnic groups that hate each other together and all this kind of stuff, as they don't care. But what they do care about is segregating and classifying things in the simplest way possible. And it's the same as what they've done with race And it's the same as what they've done with religion and stuff, but it's also the same with what they've done with sex, where they've just been like, we're drawing a border here. It doesn't matter if people are in the middle. They can't exist. They like officially don't exist, and you have to be in one to the other. You can't transverse it. Like, it's very how they treat everything. So when you buy into this way of thinking, then you're going to think that way about everything. And this is what we mean when we say, like, the gender critical movement radicalizes people to the far right, because this is a far right way of thinking, and it justifies violence against people by othering them. I mean, it's just like the story as old as time.